Okay, welcome back. Steve Summers, and I've made the trek up to north of Columbus, Ohio. And we're at Lubrication Specialties Incorporated, and first time to actually have the opportunity to take a tour of the facility. And I've heard lots of good things about this place, but I had no idea what to anticipate, or what I expected is a lot more than I actually anticipated. This is a pretty incredible place. I'm here with Chris Gabrelchik, the guy that got it all started. And trying to think back, how many years ago was it when we first met, Chris?
I believe it was 10 years ago in 2010. It might have been 2008 or 2009. It was 2008, October.
The years are flying by.
That's hard to believe.
And I'm trying to remember, I mean, those were the days when, if memory serves, you and your wife, and I believe children, were the only ones really that were working and creating the Hot Shot secret name?
Correct. Well, at that time, my primary focus was on industrial commercial lubes. So I would go into an industrial plant, look for ways for them to save money, do analysis, look at vibration, say, okay, this is why this machine's overheating. And then that's when Navistar came and said, hey, we have a problem with our injectors. It's costing us a lot of money per month. Is there a way to come up with a solution to this? So I engineered a solution for it. They were testing it and said, yes, this is working. It's fixing these injectors 9 times out of 10. They lollygagged with it with testing to the point where Ford was suing them, did sue them and won for $300 million. And Ford started making their own engines. So in other words, they didn't want International to make their diesel engines anymore. They decided to make their own. So I had this product. I knew nothing about marketing, knew nothing about internet sales, anything like that. We didn't even have an e-commerce website. It was more just a storyline type website. And we came up with the name Hot Shot Secret because that was the year when all the hurricanes were hitting, and there was a lot of FEMA trailers being hauled down to Florida and Louisiana. All those FEMA trailers were coming from Indiana.
They used the Hot Shots.
Well, they were They're called Hot Shotters. They're Hot Shotters.
Yes.
So that was our target audience. That's never dreamed that it would go beyond that one product. It was basically, hey, we got a product for these guys. They're all driving Ford 6-liter trucks. Let's target them and let them know that this will save them $3,000-$4,000 if they put this bottle of additive in the oil, and it cost about $50. So we weren't gaining a lot of traction, maybe selling a bottle, maybe 2 bottles a week. So it was just very slow. And then Jim Statmiller asked me if I'd advertise on WLW. So we did, and we had some commercials going on, but it still wasn't getting any traction. So we got to the point where it was right in the fall of 2008 when the recession was hitting really hard.
Yeah.
And at that time, nobody was talking about a recession. It was just happening. It wasn't really till January that they really started defining it and talking about what the true effects of the recession were. Jim had called me and said, are you going to re-up your contract? I'm like, dude, I've got no money. I've used my last credit card check on the back. I mean, I've got my mortgage on my house. I've got credit card bills. There's just nothing left in the well. And he goes on, you got to spend some money if you want to make money. He says, I just don't think it's working. I said, if I get on the radio and talk about it a little bit, maybe I could explain it because it's complicated, And he's like, well, I don't know. You don't really spend enough money with us to do that. He goes, we really save that on air time for the big dogs. He says,
oh boy.
Yeah. I says, well, sorry, there's nothing I can do. I mean, I'm literally out of money. And he's like, okay, I'll give you 10 minutes. And I said, okay. And I was nervous as could be, never been on the radio before. So I go down to Cincinnati. I'm waiting in the green room.
Yeah.
And I got down there 11:30, like you said. 12 o'clock comes on. You went through the news, the weather. That was the first time I had met you. They're talking about, accidents and this and that. Around 12:25, you said, I've got Chris Gabrelchik, the owner of Lubrication Specialties here. They have a product called Hot Shot Secret. At that time, the product was called Hot Shot Secret. It was just one product.
Yeah.
It was later on that we decided that Hot Shot Secret was a better brand name, and Lubrication Specialties wasn't as sexy. So they talked me into it. I said, that's fine. So then we called it Stiction Eliminator after that. So we get on. You and I start talking about it. You're asking questions like, how do we develop the product? What do we do? I explained how it worked, and basically said, if there's any other questions about oil or lubricants or fuel additives, that's my wheelhouse. Well, within 15 minutes, all 8 lines had lit up. Mm-hmm. And I remember watching Jim walk back and forth in the producer's studio.
I don't think he told me the fact that you were going to be there 10 minutes. And I'm sitting there thinking, Yeah, I've got a 5-hour show to fill every night. So, I mean, anytime I've got a guest, especially an intelligent guest, I'm thinking, hey, let's make this, stretch this out, you know.
He was very clear with me. You get 10 minutes and that's it. So when all the lines hit and we were going on, I'm watching Jim pace back and forth, and that's making me even more nervous. You know, that plus I was a rookie at staying up all night, so I'm drinking coffee, you know, like just tanking it down, like 2 pots. So about 2 o'clock, Jim comes in and he says, as soon as the phones quit ringing, get rid of them, because he was going home to go to bed. He's like, 2 hours is enough for me. And then we were on the phone until 5 o'clock with calls, and we had them calling in from everywhere, and it just kept rolling. So then, you know, I get back to the hotel. We were staying at that Days Inn up in near Westchester. And it's like I get back, and, you know, at this point I literally had drank 2 pots of coffee. So I was like a squirrel on crack. I'm just like bouncing off walls. There's no way I'm going to sleep at this point. So I go, you know, I lay down, and it's like, I can't sleep. Let's go get breakfast. So I'd asked Len Wilson, a buddy of mine, to answer the phone in case somebody ordered something. And we eat breakfast, and I'm calling Len, and it's saying the voicemail subscriber you're dialing, their voicemail box is full. And I'm thinking, man, I asked you to do one thing for me. You couldn't do that one thing.
Yeah.
So, you know, we're driving up. We leave the restaurant, we're driving. So now this one, we had flip phones. So I'm hitting redial just over and over again. I'm like, I'm going to get you one of these times. So finally, Len answers the phone. He's like, I have been on the phone all night, and I have not had a chance to check my voicemail. So I'm like, oh, wow, we got some orders. That's exciting.
Yeah.
So I called home. My daughter was home from college, my oldest daughter. And I said, go unforward the phone. I don't know if you remember when you have to push like *72 and *73. So she starts answering the phone. Well, by the time we had gotten from Cincinnati to Mount Gilead, which you drove that, we probably had 300-400 orders. And I had literally 12 bottles in stock, 12 bottles of product. That's all. I mean, that's just all we ever needed, right?
Right.
So it's like, uh-oh, this isn't good. So we had 6 kids. So we get all the kids out there, and I'm pumping it out of the drum into 64-ounce bottles. One's putting a label on them, one's putting the cap on, one's putting them in the box. We just keep loading them up, and we had a couple people inside printing the orders off. My older kids were printing the orders off, bringing them out, you know, slapping labels on them. And that's just really when the whole thing really started moving forward.
The idea that you got to explain, though, to the people out there what the product does. And I remember we were reiterating the fact that 9 out of 10 fuel injector diagnosed failures aren't really failed, and this product could fix that.
Correct.
And you said, if it doesn't work, I'll send your money back.
Correct. That's the only way I could think to do it. It's like, if it doesn't work, you're going to end up spending a couple $1,000s on an injector. So I don't want your $50. We'll just give it back to you. But before you go turning wrenches or take to the mechanic, try this product and see if it fixes it, because it's got a pretty good track record. And, you know, from there, people started using it. And the important lesson I learned then was this product is really complicated, and a lot of the products on the shelf aren't. You know, they're just really simple bullet point items. Mm-hmm. And it just takes a lot of education and explanation. So that's why we've stuck with the radio theme and going on explaining why it works, how it works, where it doesn't work, you know, that type of thing, because it's just a deep product. It takes a lot.
So you went from the wife and the children, and now how far have you come?
So we grew, at that time, my little barn on my property was 30 by 40. We thought, wow, this is getting big. So we added another 50 feet to it, thinking that would solve the problem.
Yeah.
It didn't solve the problem. So one day my wife was coming home, and we live on a county road, 109, which is just a little tiny county road. And there were 4 semi-trucks parked in front of my house. So she calls me from the car and says, I'm pulling in, bringing the kids back from piano lessons, and I can't get in the driveway because there's 4 semi-trucks. You got to move the company, find someplace else to put this. So we started searching, and we found a place in Mount Gilead, and then we found land and started building this building, which, you know, that's all took, you know, a year or two. Took 2 years to get everything done. And now we're up to, you know, like 60, 65 employees. We have our own research and development department. We have our own sales department. We have our own marketing department. We do all of our own blending, all of our own packaging. Our marketing team does all the, you know, the layouts, the labels, everything you see, we do it in-house. So it's really developed. And one of our goals was to develop jobs for the county. Morrow County is 34,000 people. And the top 3 employers had gone out of business back during 2008. So there really was not that many jobs around here. So a lot of people are driving to Columbus or up to Mansfield. So we wanted to really give people an opportunity to work in their own backyard and not have to commute. So that's one of our goals as we keep building is, you know, what else can we offer for the local population as far as good jobs, good benefits.
Sure.
And so far it's worked.
And here you are of 65 employees and looking to expand even further, if I understand correctly, here in the coming months and years.
That's right. We started LSI Chemical this year. As we were trying to improve our products and come up with better versions of them, and we knew we had some hits, like the Stiction Eliminator, the Diesel Extreme. It's like, okay, we don't want these to become irrelevant. So let's go back to the drawing board and see how we can make them even better. Not for any other reason other than we don't want anybody to be better than us. So as we did this, as we walked through this process, it took a lot of research and development. We brought products in from all over the world, from Japan, Korea, South Korea, Germany, Israel. And we started testing them all to find out which ones were top tier, which ones were second tier. Then we started looking for synergies. So through this process, we took the original Stiction Eliminator, and the new version of it was able to remove the stiction 30% better than the old formula, and it reduced the wear by 62%. So not only were we cleaning better, but we were lubricating the engine better. So little did we know, at the time I was just interested in building the business. But as time went on, I realized that the chemistries that we developed for that and the FR3 and the Diesel Extreme were so unique that other companies were interested in buying them from us as core ingredients. So this year we started LSI Chemical, which is a wholesale company, and we sell to, the other brands when they're looking for ways to improve their product. They come to us to do the research and development. We develop products to sell them so that they can make better products also.
That's awesome. Well, I'm proud to be a part of maybe what kind of turned the table and get things started for you. But yeah, you're the brains behind the whole synergy that's brought it a long way, and hopefully lots more to come.
I believe so. We're looking at putting in a blending plant, new tanks, adding onto the building another 5,000 feet. Right now our facility's 34,000 feet, and we're looking at expanding, possibly doubling the manufacturing size and adding bulk tanks outside so we can start making bigger batches. So yeah, we're onward and upward. And again, I think that was the turning moment, getting on the radio and explaining it. And then it just seemed like it kept moving forward from there.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for letting me, again, be a part of getting that up and running.
We are really excited to have you. You've been a big part of where we're at now. And I think I've always thought you had the best radio show on the radio. And now, one of the things I've always told Mark and the other guys at WLW, it's like, why don't we do anything to promote this? This is the best trucking radio program on the radio, yet, you just let it live there. You're just letting it organically grow. Let's blow this thing up. Let's get some marketing. So when the opportunity came available, I thought, hey, here's our chance to see it really rise to the top where I believe it belongs.
Of course, so we've been talking about how you got started, and I know you had asked me how I kind of got started. When I was very, very young, I think 15 years old, I kind of, lucked into my first radio job. It was just kind of a babysitting thing at a Christian radio station, and working mostly on weekends, but worked there for a number of years, during which time right up to like graduating high school year. And I met this little redhead from Georgia.
Oh, boy.
And we started dating, and things kind of kicked off, and that school year ended. And her mother and father came to pick her up at the school to take her home for the summer. I think it was less than 24 hours later that I had quit my job. I had hopped in my I think I was in a Ford Comet. And rolled down to Georgia. And actually, I knocked on their door. They had barely made it home. And I just showed up.
Like, who are you? What are you doing here?
It's a long story, but the family, they took me in. And shortly, within less than a year, I was married. It was back and forth for a few years. We moved back to Cincinnati for a time, and then I lost a job and found myself down in Georgia. Ultimately, for 4 or 5 years, I worked there in radio.
Oh, wow.
And in between that time, and I said when we came back to Cincinnati, I got my old job back. I went to the boss with my hands and knees and said, can I have my job back? And he gracefully gave that to me. And I got into country radio, worked at several different country stations, and ultimately worked my way up to where I got an opportunity to come to work with my father, who had started the Truck and Bozo show back in 1984. And he retired in 2004. I produced for him from 1996 to 2004. And at that point in time, I was pretty happy to take over the show. And I thought we had a great run, 16 years hosting what was America's Trucking Network on my own. And thanks to corporate America, as most of my listeners know, that all changed dramatically on November the 6th. It was a Friday morning. Had a great show, went home thinking ready for the weekend, and on got a call from the boss, and it was over. And my, I was pretty sick. And one of the first people that came to my mind was none other than you, because it was kind of odd the last time I had spoke to you in the studio. You had talked about what would it take for me to start my own radio show or a radio station. And here we are today.
It went full circle. So as soon as I heard that you were not going to be with iHeart anymore, because I got several texts and emails from people asking me if I knew, I thought, okay, here's a great opportunity. We got to get a hold of Steve and see how we can build this thing up. Because I've always thought that the Steve Summers Show was bigger than just the WLW footprint. I always thought it was a worldwide footprint. And I remember the early days when we were on Sirius XM, we were getting calls from Australia, from Canada. We had gotten calls from Germany. And so it's like, I know there's other people that are interested in hearing what you have to say. So Kyle and I got together. We started plotting an idea, like how can we make this work? And that's when I called you and said, hey, what would you think about this? And then you came up and we started talking it through. And so now we're going to launch the Steve Summers Overnight Drive, which will be a continuation of the 36 years that you were doing already.
I like that name, Overnight Drive.
Overnight Drive.
You're allowing me to stick with the patrons, the audience that was so dedicated to the show for so many years. And, so many people tell me the story of Steve. I can't tell you how many nights you helped me get through. I was tired, had a load that I had to get from point A to point B, but you got me there. So this is a golden new opportunity for me. I think I'm going to be kind of starting a new career.
It will be, and it'll be more exciting because now we're actually going to put a lot more emphasis, since this is our only radio show, we're putting a lot more emphasis on it, where I think, with Clear Channel or iHeart, it was just one of many shows. I think they were more excited about a Cincinnati Reds game than they were the overnight trucking radio.
Yeah. So
this will be our baby. I mean, this will be the crown jewel. So we're hoping to build it up and market it everywhere. Go to truck shows and market it. All the truck stops. Truckers are our number one customer. We cater to them. We look for solutions for them. We, try to find out what their pain points are and how can we help it. I mean, that's really where, our heart lives is in the truck driver. And I used to be a truck driver, so I know exactly what they're talking about. When you start getting drowsy, you've got radio can only, like music on the radio can only go so far, and then it doesn't really keep you awake.
Yeah.
You just start getting drowsy and fatigued. So that's where I would always flip on to like your show or some other show that on before that.
I hope you found something intriguing when you listened.
Oh, always. I mean, and that's what I always liked about you. You did a lot of or a lot of research. You'd look for trucking news, find out what's going on, and it's fresh and it's new every day. So we want to carry that forward.
We've been kind of teasing things via social media, Facebook, for several weeks, but I know that we've been working on this. Nothing happens overnight, but as
it does in my mind.
Well, but there's just an incredible amount of work going in behind the scenes to get this all ready to unfold, and I kind of liked the idea of wrapping up the year 2020, which I want to forget, and launching something brand new in 2021, and hopefully something that's going to be around for years to come.
It's going to be huge.
Well, here we go. It's coming. It's just around the corner, and I'm excited about getting all my listening friends back. We're going to kind of get everybody to, if you see this, share it. Share it with friends, and let's develop a whole new audience.
Yeah, we want to expand the family, so we want to take the Steve Summers Overnight Show family that was there before and build it up with the Hot Shot Secret family and just bring it all together and see how large we can get it. I mean, I would love to see this get into the millions where we've got everybody listening. And hopefully, with a global footprint, we can do that.
That's great. So in other words, I will have an opportunity to be back.
You will be back, bigger and better than ever.
Looking forward to it.